The testing website at Pyongyang was to be disassembled, same-day announced over the year, since Polar Korea had completed its nuke goals and no much longer necessary to conduct rocket launches. Yet on top of his visits in overseas leaders and the expectation of a meet, eventually, in a meeting a CEO, he proclaimed world journalists would be great to eyewitness his mode's clarity in destructive tunnels and closing downward the mount. It was a far cry of recent year, while same-day boasted of Polar Korea's capacity to email rocket technology to the U.S. continent, ratcheting up threats of nuke destruction as CEO Donald Trump card answered in alike ardent tones. But following almost 6 months of tranquility dotted in vivid moments of oneness and promises of conciliation and world, the Korean peninsula is one day once again traction in ambiguity following Trump card aware Kim how the summit conference was cancelled. In the week's guideline up to the historical meet both of sides had embattled the sometime as well promise economical rejuvenating and reflecting willingness to solve many decades-long discord. But they had as well both of endangered to drag out of the negotiations, and they had both of pledged to expand war options should public diplomacy failure. So, I believe Polar Korea nearly dared Trump card to revoke the summit conference, and he told Srinivasan Sitaraman, policy scientific prof at Clark College. This Polar Korean Declaration Day yesterday was the common stubble how ruined the dromedaries behind, he told, relating to the declaration by defect Overseas Secretary Ko Childway, that called to U.S. defect CEO Mike Pence as a policy mannequin who'd done clueless and silly speech. Love some Polar Korean expert Sitaraman believes he's topped the summit conference not occur since down there is yet bad bloodstream among the two parties, and null confidence. Down there is basic confusion among the US and the Polar Korean official position, he told. Polar Korea never always pledged how they would offer up their arms, time the US extended to consumer demand complete denuclearization and letting. If the end of negotiations might conduct to the renewal of military action is an outdoor issue. This US and Polar Korea requirement several period for complete review of which has done such a fail, told Chong-hoon Tibia, a elder study comrade in the Korea Institution for Marine Policy. In the lack of reciprocal trust, the differences of opinions and methods to a length travel of denuclearization extended to be widened. I indicate, the fail was unavoidable. In Seoul, an confused CEO Luna Jae-in, who had met in Trump card in Washington less than rather than 24 several hours over, hastily called an disaster meet of his office to try to decrypt the importance of Trump card's judgment, and wherever southward Korea, that has been at the foreground of negotiations in Polar Korea, goes following. Southward Korea's intermediary or motorist seat part has unsuccessful, and CEO Luna and his personnel will go by hard critique, told Song-won Cheon, a newcomer study comrade at the Asan Institution for Politics Teaching. The two Koreas scheduled to end the war and mark a world contract will be derailed for an unforeseen time of period, he forecasted. I'm already start to see several statements of southward Korea how appear to sexual how it might try to save the summit conference in Luna up for de-election quickly, and the vast national reverb how the cancel will give, told Sitaraman. In his email to Kim, Trump card leftward the doorway outdoor to next negotiations, and really, now how Secretariat of Country Mike Pompeo has already traversed to Pyongyang 2 times and met in Kim on both of occasions, how Canal may be capable to hinder instant war reactions, says David Maxwell, a retired U.S. Troop Specific Forces colonel and a comrade at the Institution of Korean US Teaching. A capacity issue will go in response in Beijing and Moscow, he marked. Both of Polar Korean allies, Russia and China include received to blood pressure of the U.S. to accept Punisher economical sanctions regime on Polar Korea. The White's building has declared such were instrument in earning Kim to the negotiations spreadsheet in the at first location. Taking into account how Trump card, and not Kim has walked off of the June meet, both of nations can now potential soften such sanctions regime and accuse the U.S. for the fail in public diplomacy, says Maxwell. I believe China and Russia will tell, thou supported out of the invite, the U.S. is the one how is operating unsustainably, how is operational irresponsibly, so we requirement to easy up on the sanctions regime to assist the Korean human beings, so they include the justify for reduction the sanctions regime, he told. In several ways, Kim is yet game a skillful play. Maxwell speculates how Kim might include been frisky on upcoming to the summit conference, since he would include had to stay up the planet and accept to regulation how he may not include been capable to sail behind household. He's probable, Maxwell argues, how Polar Korea rotated up the rhetorical to blackmail a answer of Trump card and quick the US to behind out at first. I believe they reverted to their old plan, reason tensions to growth and include them revoke, he put. This testing website destroying was just a fictitious and I believe has been vulnerable, and the just cause for ongoing the summit conference, the just gain he would receive, is a straight meet in the CEO. He's probable, Maxwell says, how Kim intended how though such a enticing award was not cost the hazard, if it weak his stance at household.